And JD Vance, this is actually important. So he is going out on tour. He's doing a town hall with a Christian nationalist who polarized, the 7 Mountain Mandate, which says conservative Christians are called to rule society, and that Kamala is possessed by demons.
You know what?
If you don't, you know what?
Who says?
I wanted to start with that clip of Jessica Tarlov discussing what has been the most consistent theme in this Trump campaign, which is whatever JD Vance says, whatever he does, wherever he goes, it just really ends up backfiring for him. And there, Jessica was talking about a specific example of a Christian nationalist conference that JD Vance was attending with some unsavory individuals who have said things much like him, attacking our country, attacking a woman's right to choose. And it is not the only example of one of the many disastrous campaign events that JD Vance has had recently. We saw him kicked out of a Pittsburgh restaurant in what was one of the most embarrassing moments of the campaign so far for him, which is a really high bar to hit. But JD Vance always finds a way to make it worse for himself. And that same restaurant is doing a little bit of trolling of JD Vance, and we are going to check that out because it's just so funny and so perfect in just a little bit. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way in supporting us. Now, like I said, things always backfire on JD Vance because it's not just the things he says that are so terrible, but it's the reaction that he gets. And Kamala Harris did a little bit of calling out of JD Vance last night. And so before we get into how that campaign event has backfired even more, I want to hear what she had to say.
And as you say here in Las Vegas, I'm all in. I'm all in. Even if my opponent is ready to fold. So there you go.
Folding is the perfect word to describe JD Vance and the Trump campaign, at least in the context of Las Vegas. It has really been a complete collapse for them, and especially as of late, as JD Vance ramps up to what I expect to be a shellacking of him in the debate by Governor Tim Walz. And we saw that this weekend, like I talked about, with JD Vance getting kicked out of a restaurant in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But that's not the only thing that happened. They brutally trolled him in a video that we're going to check out. But if you don't know what I'm talking about with JD Vance getting kicked out of this restaurant, I'm going to read an article for a little bit of context on it. JD Vance suffers latest campaign fail after being denied entry into restaurant. JD Vance suffered yet another embarrassing setback on the campaign trail after being denied entry into a restaurant where he was supposed to speak and being forced to address supporters in the parking lot instead. According to reports, after showing up to Primanti Bros in Pennsylvania, a restaurant worker told the press that cameras were not allowed in and that they did not want a campaign event. The restaurant was reportedly full of customers waiting to greet Vance, who canceled their food orders after learning he wasn't welcome. The latest food shop-related gaffe led to many online questioning those that make advance arrangements for the Republican vice presidential nominee, with one ex-user claiming he has the worst advance team in modern election history. Just last week, he was roundly mocked online over a trip to the supermarket, also in Pennsylvania, where he bemoaned the steep cost of eggs, claiming that Harris's economic policies had led to the price being over $4. The problem? When footage of the visit emerged, Vance was quickly called out by viewers who spotted the price tag of a dozen eggs behind him was actually $2.99. Additionally, in August, Vance admitted that the Trump campaign screwed up after an awkward visit to a donut shop in Georgia. The GOP VP nominee struggled to make small talk while buying baked goods with an employee he clearly did not want to be on camera. So as we discussed in a previous video, already a pretty embarrassing run of campaign stops for JD Vance, but what made it especially worse is the restaurant's reasoning behind not wanting JD there was ostensibly they didn't want a campaign event, the restaurant was too full. But when two different candidates stopped in recently, oh man, this is so great, they had a different approach, and it looked a little bit different, and I think you can imagine who those two candidates are. So I want to check out a video of Primanti Bros, one of my favorite restaurants now. I haven't even been there, at a different campaign stop.
85 years between the three of us teaching. 85 years. I taught the both. Nice to meet you, sir. Oh, amen. It's noble work. Yeah, proud to do it.
Thank you.
Yay!
Grateful.
How are you? Nice to meet you. Thank you. Very nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
Thank you. Guys, thank you all so very much.
Picking sides and certainly picking the right side. I think I got to get like a gift card to there to support the local business. And if I'm ever in Pittsburgh, I'm certainly stopping in, because if they make their political endorsements, it seems like they make their food. I am sure it is an awesome place and I got to check it out. But again, just so brutal for JD Vance. Oh man, he really can't catch a break. And not only that, but tomorrow he's going to be going up on the debate stage with soon-to-be Vice President Tim Walz, Governor Tim Walz. Yeah, that's not going to be fun. And it's so funny because that debate, before it's even happened, is already going poorly. Republican Tom Emmer tried to lie on behalf of JD Vance, saying what he would use as his talking points in this debate, and it just backfired. So let's check it out.
Again, I think JD Vance is going to do a great job tomorrow night when people focus on the issues, and the issues are very clear for the American people. Donald Trump had a great economy, lowest unemployment rate in 50 years. I think it was half a century. He had families making $6,000 more in wages over the course of his tenure in his first term. Guess what, John? Kamala Harris and Joe Biden broke the economy. They opened the border. They've created all these problems around the globe. JD's going to do a great job talking about the fact that Donald Trump did it once. He'll fix it again.
Economist Mark Zandi just called this the greatest economy he's seen in 35 years. The unemployment rate has been consistently at 4% or lower, and GDP has been around 3% for the entire administration. Comparing economic records, I'm sure the candidates will do that.
What's so great about this race is that we can just look at the records. On one hand, you have Donald Trump's disastrous presidency, a complete failure. You have JD Vance, who has done nothing in the Senate. And then you have Kamala Harris, who within the Biden-Harris administration has been a part of an economic boom, investments in infrastructure, investments in manufacturing. We see a soaring stock market hitting record highs every single day. So JD Vance has got nothing to work with. And what's he going to go after Tim Walz for? Feeding kids in school? I don't know. Not a lot of ammo there. And so I am excited to see JD Vance flop. And I'm also excited for Tim Walz to call him out on his lies, because this is a guy that we can't trust. And that point was so perfectly made in this ad from the Lincoln Project.
What is wrong with JD Vance? Everywhere he goes, he stirs up hate against immigrants. Who's he married to? A daughter of immigrants. He married her when he was still an anti-Trumper, comparing Trump to Hitler.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
In Springfield, kids are under armed guard. Their class day photos canceled. This time, it's Haitians. Next time, it might be Indians. What kind of man stirs up hate that could turn on his own children? The kind of man JD Vance is. He made a fortune attacking his hometown and his own family. Now, he's hating on immigrants, his own wife's family. This isn't about politics. It's about basic decency. His neighbors and his own family can't trust JD Vance. Why should America?
And speaking of people that we can't trust, because clearly there's no one more hypocritical than JD Vance, and we recently saw a leak out of JD Vance, one of his friends, sharing text messages from late 2020 when Vance said that Donald Trump's presidency had been a complete failure in his mind, which is funny because, of course, we know JD Vance has flip-flopped on his support of Donald Trump. Now, he was such a great president, but his whole argument for why he supports Trump now is because he thought his presidency was a success, when in late 2020, he was saying the exact opposite. So I don't really think your mind could have changed while Donald Trump was out of the presidency on how successful his presidency was. But of course, he is just a liar. And like I said, speaking of liars, Donald Trump had an interesting idea. Interesting is certainly the wrong word for it. Insane is the right one at his rally yesterday that I feel like a lot of people missed. So let's check it out.
Do it because the liberal left won't let him do it. The liberal left wants to destroy him, and they want to destroy our country. You know, if you had one day, like one real rough, nasty day with the drugstores as an example, but they have to be taught. Now, if you had one really violent day, like a guy like Mike Kelly, put him in charge, Congressman Kelly, put him in charge for one day. Mike, would you say, he's right here, it's a chain of events that's so bad. One rough hour and I mean real rough, the word will get out and it will end immediately.
1 rough hour? Is he suggesting The Purge? Have you seen that movie? What is he doing with his time? I really wonder, because it seems like he's watching a lot of TV. He was talking about how the actors in Hollywood aren't strong enough, how their faces aren't strong enough. I think we need to get Donald Trump a different hobby that isn't running for president, and just, I feel like we'd all be a lot safer, because I think The Purge would be a bad idea. And we're going to keep talking about stuff like that for as long as we need to, calling this out on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around at the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.